Hi everyone, it's Norman Kochnick here on Eyes on Cricket with Norman Kochnick. As you know, we've got our show on. I'm going to try and make it as regular as possible. I believe very strongly in the fact that it should be a daily show because a number of reasons. There's lots to talk about in cricket, no matter where you are in the world. We've had the situation today where Bangladesh have actually hired Ranganahera, the spin bowler from Sri Lanka, legendary spin bowler as he is, and Ashwell Prince, I think it is as well, the South African batter, the batting coach of South Africa will now be the Bangladesh batting coach, let's call it, Ashwell Prince, and then Ranganahera, the famous spinner from Sri Lanka, who was basically the support to Murali over many years, who took many wickets. He's in the top 20 or 30 wicket takers in the world. He actually is now the spin coach for Bangladesh. Bangladesh bolstered their stocks quite nicely. That's happened. Sri Lanka got, unfortunately, dismally defeated by England in the T20. They've lost 3-0 on the series. It's quite sad. I think M. Venkatesh is saying that it's very disappointing to see that from the India performance. Well, it is and it isn't. We've got to remember that India made the World Test Championship final, and under great conditions, which were in favour, you would argue, of New Zealand. They actually performed particularly well. So I don't know what I'd call it, a disappointing performance. Topping and Shirai Guthrie, topic and the actual topic and guest day. Well, the topic is numerous topics. One of the major topics is looking forward towards the Indian series versus, obviously, England. There's a 5-test series coming up. A lot of the players now in some sort of a recreation period. I think a number of them are down at Bristol there on the foreshores, on the amusement parks of Bristol. There's a great tower there, which I experienced a couple of years ago, which has a view all over the southern part of England. It's quite impressive. All the players are there. I saw Mayank Agarwal and a few others getting, even I think Rahul may have got a tattoo, and quite a few players are in their period of enjoyment. Ask about Ravindra Jadeja this time. Well, I will, but I actually spent a bit of time today talking about Virat Kohli and his captaincy, and most people agreed, quite frankly, out and out agreed with the fact that a Test captain who gets you to a World Test Championship is already far outweighed or excelled anyone's expectancy for a captaincy position. So that's one aspect of it. But Sri Lanka, very disappointing with the way that they're playing. You'd have to argue that their administration has a lot to do with their problems. The inconsistency with selections and player arrangements and a lot of uncertainty with payments can only hamper a team's morale. There's no doubt about it that Sri Lanka, pound for pound, has the ability to beat most sides if they all on song. They're Jimantha Chamira, he's a great bowler. Naroshan Dikla is a great keeper, great batsman. I think even potential captain. So there's a lot of issues there that they need to sort out, but they've got the players. Dominic Cork or Chris Lewis? Do Indian teams look ahead of Pujara and Rahane? We'll be talking about that in a minute. Let's have a look here. Media is flattering to Virat. He hasn't done well. Bowlers are unable to pick tail as captain because, look, I think you've got to take a little bit of a step back from him. Look, over a period of the last 3 or 4 years, he's positioned the Indian side to be fearless, to win finals, to beat Australia and India. Even though Virat wasn't there, he contributed greatly to that whole culture that's led to it. You shouldn't forget that. Do I watch Kirtley show? Yes, I have. I think he's very good. I'm not sure about the other person, but I haven't really taken notice of it too much. But yeah, he's obviously, Kirtley Ambrose is a great bloke. I know him personally. Yeah, so the reality is that my favourite fast bowlers among Poms from 1990 to 2000 is Dominic Cork or Chris Lewis. My favourite bowler in the 1990-2000 period, Dominic Cork was certainly up there. There's a lot of players that were in that mix. Okay, let's go back a bit. Let's take a few questions back. Let's go back a bit, guys. So Aparna Saini is joining very shortly. She obviously is a fellow host. How should India play left-hander Arjun Nogaswala, is he actually in the squad? I'm not sure he's in the squad, but he's future. He's certainly going to be playing. I'm pretty sure of that. India and the batting and bowling quality and variety. Now, that's an interesting question that they're lacking batting and bowling like quality and variety. Well, Pujara has done fantastically well for a long, long time. Rohit Sharma was an outstanding performer. He and Shubman Gill opened the batting sensationally well. None for 62 when they lost their first wicket. And those bowling conditions, they should have been 3 or 4 or 5 for 62, really. So none for 60 was quite a commendable performance. And, you know, they didn't do badly at all. They just didn't kick on. I think Jinkar Rahane's dismissal was the most disappointing because he played just a poor shot. To a field placement that was visible in front of him, and he saw that person going in there. That was more of a bad shot. Rohit Sharma and Shubman Gill batted fantastic. And Rohit Sharma's second innings, even though he got out, he did a very good job to get to his 30. If he just had one bit of luck with the decision here or there, he may well have gone a big score, and things might have been different. So, no, I don't think Shubman Gill or Rohit should be changed. Pujara is extremely important in many games. You watch what happens there. Kohli certainly is wavering in form, but he's still great. He's still got 40 on the first innings. He's good as well. Jinkar Rahane got 49, but he got out to a bad shot. Yes, there's probably a need to look for KL Rahul to come back in. Agarwal could. Some of the youngsters who are more short form specialists may come in as well. We'll wait and see. I think there's plenty of opportunities in this Test series to really sort them out. I think after this 5-test series against England, let's judge how India goes in that longer series as to who's really needing to be considered for not being in the side or not. Kohli should be captain indefinitely, and he could also play any role on any of the free formats. But let's just be wary that he is still a great and important player. Yeah, look, let's not forget that India only a matter of months ago smacked Australia in Australia. They've just defeated England in India. They didn't have a lot of preparation for this match, and they did very well in this Test match despite losing. They're not far behind anyone. In fact, they're in the top 2 in the world, arguably close to number 1, and probably are number 1 if they're all firing. The most disappointing thing for the Indian team, for me and for a lot of my counterparts, has been Bumrah. Bumrah by far was underwhelming. Bumrah was very disappointing. Rahane's dismissal was disappointing. Yeah, they're the 2 crucial issues in the Indian side. Ishant Sharma, despite bowling admirably in the Test match, will probably see his end days coming soon. It may well be in this Test series, the 5-day Test series here, or we may finish it in India later in the year against New Zealand. But I think Ishant Sharma's days are coming to an end, and that will allow Siraj to be in the side, and that'll be a great boost. In the spin bowling department, Ashwin's still sensational. Jadeja was a bit disappointing as well. There's 3 players that were disappointing. One was definitely Bumrah. Bumrah was the leading person being disappointing. Second, Rahane's wave dismissal, and when he was needed most, like a Williamson type innings, he didn't quite come through. And then probably Jadeja. But yeah, they're the 3 that were disappointing. I think Bumrah's under some severe doubt. If he doesn't get his act together, I think Siraj will be prominent more early in the series than not. So, yeah, I'd say that's one distinctive issue. Let's have a look here. Jadeja is very well liked in Australia, I can tell you. So Apana's coming on shortly. Wait and see for her to come on. West Indies going to win the T20 World Cup. It's my best team. I tell you what, the way that the West Indies have just played against South Africa, they've absolutely smashed them. And they had Rabada and McGiddy, a very good bowling attack, and they tore them apart. And the experience that they've got with everyone from Pollard, I'm not sure that Pollard played. Pollard certainly won. Andre Russell, Chris Gale, the way that Lewis opened the batting. If they fire, they'll beat anyone. Yes, they will go very. They could well be the Smoky of this tournament, yes. Other than England and India and perhaps New Zealand and the West Indies. They're the top 4. Australia is not in the top 4. I'm telling you that now. West Indies will be rated above them. And Pakistan, although who knows what they could do. But South Africa, we're not sure what's going to happen with them. They're okay, certainly okay. Sri Lanka's a mess. Bangladesh is pretty much a mess. So really, and Australia's not doing very well either. So there's a few teams that need to get their act together. Rahul opening an England series. I don't think if he's going to come back into the side, he won't come back in as an opener. Why? Because I mean, Shikhar Dhawan's probably in the mix too, but he's playing in Sri Lanka, as you know, with under Dravid. But Rahul's probably in line with Vihari and Agarwal to get a batting berth, depending on how a few of those players go. Rahani's under a lot of pressure, no doubt. Bumrah's under a lot of pressure, no doubt. Jadeja, we'll give him a chance, but we'll see how they go. Okay. Guys, can you please stop writing 10 comments the same now? If you do that, it just makes it more difficult to see everybody else. So just put it once. Please don't. I think Rosu Entertainment, you've written about 10 times. Please don't do that. It's annoying me. It's not going to get you more preference. In fact, I might not, if you start writing 10 times the same thing, I'm not going to read it out at all. Okay, that's the warning to you. People who write it 10 times, I will not read it out at all. If I miss you, you can prompt me to say, please read a message above once, but do not write 10 times. If you write 10 times, I'm not going to answer your question out of fairness to everybody else. Okay, we mentioned already. Your opinion of the future Australian captain, AP Garner, it's a good question. I think I've talked about this over the last few days. I don't think Tim Paine's going anywhere at the moment. He'll be there for the entire Ashes series and the one-off game against Afghanistan. So there'll be a bit of a break after that from test matches. It's up to Tim Paine when he decides to call it quits. Steve Smith is saying himself that he should be captain. I don't agree. I don't think Steve Smith should be. Warner clearly won't be. Pat Cummins is a great vice captain, whether he's a captain. Yeah. Aaron Finch is still there on other formats like the T20 ODIs. He could be there as well. And then there's Jason Sanger, who's playing for New South Wales, who at some stage will start getting captaincy for his state and will move to Australia level and will play there and probably then move in as captain as well, because he's a brilliant captain from all counts, and having played as the captain of the under-19 Australian side and done very well to reach the final against India. And they had Prethi Shaw, they had Shuman Gill, and they had a few others. I can't remember who else was on the side, but they had a very good side. The Australian side had Pekowski and obviously Sanger. Well, that's they probably will, except for Siraj. Siraj will find his way in that side for sure. There'll be a change and there'll be involvement of Siraj. The batting lineup, yeah, they probably will stick to them for a little while, but Rahani's under a lot of pressure. No, I already mentioned that before. Already mentioned before. Okay. Yes, we are the favourites. So when you say West Indies, wasn't West Indies. West Indies are the favourites. Yeah, they're up there, certainly up there. Shafali, Sultana. England top order is a bit of a concern. They should back Bairstow and Milan for spots 2 and 3. Burns can open all right. Yeah, I think Milan may be considered above Zach Crawley at the moment. And Bairstow should also be considered, against Sibley certainly under pressure as well. Broadberry, Burns. I agree with those comments. So Bhuvesh Deshpande thinks Rohit Sharma with Mayank. There's the openers. Virat number 3, Rahul 4, Rahane 5, and then Punt. I think Pujara's got to be in there, and I think Rahane is the one that's got the problem at the moment. Let's be honest to ourselves. Any loss to South Africa, England, NZ, and only one in Australia. And in any pitches that were bad at Australia, Rahane was one. Yeah, I don't know whether that's being a bit severe. You've written that comment 5 times. Siraj definitely needs to play. Absolutely fact. I've been a huge Aussie fan since 2013. I'll tell you what, you may be a fan of this, but they're not playing well enough to deserve any fans. Rahul will definitely get his spot in play 11 at some stage. Let's hope he does. And it'll be either a Rahane or a Pujara, lesser extent, or maybe Gill, but I don't know exactly the stage. We'll give him a few tests, I reckon. Siraj is back on the test side. Rahul will go very close. Absolutely. Rosu Entertainment, you've got a love for Sunil Narine. Every time you're online, you always talk to Sunil Narine. And Fabian Allen's a good player. So, well, let's see if Sunil Narine gets a go again. It's not no certainty. Thoughts on Vaughan saying Sibley isn't a test player? I would. Yeah, he didn't look that great. He got a 60, whatever he got in that innings in the first test match to save the match, but they really needed to attack and win the match. So it was a pretty poor batting performance, considering that he was only being selfish. Selfish players don't last long. Selfish players get found out. They lose games to teams rather than win. Who'll be the next Australian captain? I've just been talking about that, shows. I've been talking about the fact that at this time it's Tim Payne until the end of the Test series. It's Tim Payne through the Afghan match as well. Into the series after that, we'll see. It's a long way off still. Aaron Finch is still floating around. And the other formats, whether it's T20 or ODI, he could also be able to play. Yeah, Josh Butler's injury is a concern. He got injured, I think, was it today or the previous day? Steve Smith was the captain, and he was taken away because of the misdemeanor with the sandpaper coat. We know that. Dave Warner contributed to that. Really, it's a sour taste in everybody's mouth. Whether he deserves to come back, that's up to the selection committee, not himself. It's not Steve Smith who ordained, I'm back, therefore pick me. It's the selection panel that decides that. Justin Langer is not a bad coach. Trust me, he's a bit too heavy with the discipline sometimes, but his loyalty at the moment to the current team is sound, and he's given Tim Payne a bit of a berth, and I think that's fair. Kohli, Vijay and Rahane need to have the series of a lifetime to ensure India can give the bowlers more freedom to strangle the English batsmen with probing lines. Very good points. There's been a lack of performance by Kohli, Vijay and Rahane, and it is up to them. They are the true batting strength of the innings of the team, so I would agree with that. No, I don't think have we already talked about this? I think we have. Rahul Dravid is going to be an excellent coach. Yes, absolutely. At the moment, though, Ravi Shastri is doing a fantastic job, as is Kohli. So, no, I wouldn't be moving those two on in any hurry. But Dravid's one of the making down the track when Ravi Shastri decides to move on, yes. Is Australian middle order dependent on Maxwell in the T20s? I tell you what, Maxwell's extremely important to the Australian side, and he needs to be given a free rein. He's done well in the IPL because of the way that Kohli and maybe the Villiers worked out. They need him in that manner, and he would be an asset to the Australian side. Yes, you're right. In Australia, those best bowlers performed well. What do you mean? I don't know what that means. Shouldn't he replace Ravi and ODI and T20s after? Ravi Shastri? No, not necessarily. We'll see. But Ravi's in the mix now. Absolutely. Okay, so Steve Smith will be a part of the T20 World Cup. Of course he will. Yeah, India needs variety in its pace attack. New Zealand had two left-hand bowl. It's not about left-hand or right-hand. It's about their ability to bowl. Let's be honest. If it's the best bowling side, then you have to pick your best bowling side, and that may be two left-hands. Well, then so be it. That's the way it should be looked at. I'm just having a look now if there's anything updated on. Yeah, this is now June 27th. The Test series between India and England starts about August 4th. There's probably going to be some more matches you would think before. No county matches, which is a bit disappointing. I think India need a bit of a rest. It's a fair point. They've had a hell of a last 6 to 12 months. They've had an enormous 6 to 12 months, actually. It's been quite hectic, really. So, yeah, that's certainly there, indeed. So we'll wait and see what happens with that. And he can win this time 5-0. Yeah, guys, please stop spamming. Why doesn't? If you spam, I'm not going to. If someone writes the question more than twice, then I'm not going to ask the question. Do you understand? Anyone that writes a message more than twice, and I can see it's one twice, the question is not being asked. Okay. You seem to be ignoring me on purpose. No, I don't think so. Where is your other comment? I don't believe there's anyone ignoring anyone on purpose. Don't ever say that about me. please add me to that chat. I have a few questions for you. What do you mean, add live? I don't even know who you are, Sai Kiran Good. I can't just go on the screens like that. I need to be able to vet who I bring onto the channel. So you just can't expect me to then demand me to be put on the show. That's really not the way it's approached. I've got a lot of people who have been very patient about them. They've come on over time. So I don't know who you are, and you've got to send me your details. Go to my Instagram and send me your details of your real name. If that is your real name, that's okay. Put your real name down there, your real email address, and I'll be able to work on perhaps next time another episode, but not today, not that quickly. It doesn't quite work that way. I'm sorry. Is match fixing in international cricket a myth or a reality? I'd have to say it's a reality. Some people say as high as 70%. I don't know whether it's 70%, but there's a lot more to the point. How much difficulty is it to pick out of Jadeja and Hardik Pandya? Well, Hardik Pandya, when he's bowling at full strength, is certainly a valued player, not unlike a Ben Stokes, but he hasn't been bowling, so therefore you don't want to do that. So, okay. The reality is that why India doesn't have good seeming all-rounders. Well, India does have good seeming bowlers. Yes, they do. I mean, look, Bumrah he's a good seam bowler, but he hasn't been performing well. He's been performing quite poorly. Shardul Thakur, yes. That to me is a key name. Washington Sundar, Axar Patel, down the track will be significant Indian players. With Ashwin and Jadeja there, they may not figure as frequently, but they will be significant players. They're all very young and have a lot of time to make their efforts. So just bide their time. They can't all be thrusted into the top side overnight. That's actually not a good move. There's got to be a bit of pecking order about it. And then you've got so many good players that they need to be fair to the ones that are there. Rahani's performed very well over a long time. Pujara's been incredible over a long time. You don't just throw him out quickly. He's got to be given due course. Now, KL Rahul was in and is now out, but he'll get himself back in. Don't worry. Because it's very hard. Now, this particular comment, if you've been watching previous shows, we've talked about this a lot. It's not about ICC doing anything out of the ordinary. The final should have been in England. It makes sense. It's the most historical, traditional place for a test match, especially test cricket. A World Test Champions playing a final at Lord's, which it was meant to be, is ideal. It's exactly what you want. Exactly what you want for the first. From then on, it won't be played there. Hopefully, they'll work out a system of doing it, probably more so based on if a team wins, like New Zealand has won, they would have rights to host it in 2 years' time, I would think, from now on. So they had to start somewhere. They have to start. England was where the 50-over World Cup started with West Indies and England, and the T20 in 2007, I think that was in South Africa, actually. It was a bit of an unusual starting point, but still, it makes sense. And these players like Ben Stokes, yeah, they do. And they've got them. Hardik Pandya certainly has won. There are more. Shardul Thakur certainly got potential. His batting in Australia was magnificent. His bowling's good too, so he's a potential player. He's in that mode. They didn't choose Lords for the WTC because of COVID. COVID was the reason why they didn't choose Lords. Lords was chosen when COVID hit, and they had to make another choice. They went for Southampton because they had a hotel attached to the ground, and that's the reason why. So a very valid reason. So do not put more than one, make a comment once, not twice. Will Natarajan be used as a handy player in swinging conditions? Yes, Natarajan is a fabulous player now. He wasn't picked this time. I don't know was he injured? I'm not sure whether there was an injury involved or what the story was, but there may have been something. So yeah, that's probably what we are waiting on people to attend. I don't know where they are. This is an off day. This was an extra session that I put in there. And I'm aware of. I'm aware of the difficulty to be on every day. I'm on every day. It's my channel, my show, so of course I'm going to be. But there are a lot of people that just simply aren't available all the time. I had a great day today speaking to people in the public about Virat and his captaincy, and I've got some great positive comments. Who's the favourite to win the World T20? You'd have to say certainly India, with England. West Indies, the way they're playing, will certainly be up there. So India, England, West Indies, and possibly New Zealand, the way they're playing, those four. And then South Africa and Australia are fifth and sixth. Well, not out of order, but around that spot. And then you've got Bangladesh and Sri Lanka making the last two, and then other teams. But so that's my pick. I think it could well be India if they play the form. This is a different format for the test, don't forget. Now, okay, Shreyas Iyer, the next captain of India, he would have been the captain for the SI series ahead of his injured. Yeah, there's a lot of talk about Shreyas Iyer. His injury to his shoulder has been quite serious, and it's taken a long time to heal. He's not available for the Sri Lanka series. It doesn't look like he's available for the world. Well, at least he could well be available for the IPL, the last 31 matches, where he figures for Delhi Capitals with Rishabh Pant. If he plays that and plays well, you never know. He might get selected for the World Cup. You don't know. Oh, are we supposed to only have one favourite? What do you mean, one favourite player or one favourite team? No, you can have as many favourites as you like. About Australia's next FTP. What's FTP? Full-time. I'm not sure what FTP stands for. About Australia's next FTP. I don't know what that means, but please enlighten me. We need a red card feature for players like yeah, probably. It's a fair comment. Kohli, Rahane, and Joe should now be rated in the testing. All three should not play at this World Cup. So it's over to you. To youngsters should come in with one sitting. That's possible, but I don't know whether it'll be that necessarily that formula. But I get your point. If India has so much talent, why are they not able to win the ICC title by coming in knockouts every time? Oh, look, the very fact that you get there doesn't mean guarantee you're going to win. It's all about the day as well, and the conditions and the luck as well. There's a lot of things. It's not just simply you've got the best team, you win every game. It doesn't quite work that way. But they claim you're wrong. The Future Tour program, I've talked about that yesterday at some length, actually. I talked about it quite a bit of length, as a matter of fact, and I didn't mention about this. If you go to my community tab, I have a community tab there, and that on that tab you have all the aspects of the games. I'll go through that with you now, if you like. I'll go through that with you. I'll just find it again. All right, I've got a tab there, which on the page there it has community channel. Let's have a look in. So on my channel, you have a community tab along the top. And if you scroll down there, it has a lot of information, and I'll just keep scrolling down because I did post this the other day. In fact, only yesterday I would have posted it. Let me have a look. Let's have a look. It'll come in a second. I'll find it. Yeah, so there is a schedule, so we'll get that up very short, and we'll talk about that. Okay, Surav, we'll get that up there. I'm just trying to remember where it was. Oh, here it is. I've got it now. See that? There's a post that I made there. So, as I discussed yesterday, India play England August 4th through September of this year, 5 tests, which is a big tournament. Then you've got November, December. So in late September, they go straight to the IPL. Then they go straight to the World Cup. Then they go straight into a home series between India and New Zealand, 2 tests, which is interesting. Then they travel to South Africa and play a further 3 tests there. And then in February, March, they go back home and they play Sri Lanka in a 3-test series, which is probably good for them to get back on their own feet. And then they play Australia, but that's well over a year away. That's October, November of 2022. So they have a break from March of 2022, which is next year, through to October, November, when they'll play 4 tests against Australia at home. And then they move from there later in that November month. They play 2 tests against Bangladesh away in Bangladesh. That's the program. We'll talk more about that as we go along as well. So that's what are you happy with that? Do you want me to say it again? India, England, 5 tests virtually in August. Then after that, after the IPL and then the World Cup, they go straight back to India and play New Zealand on 2 tests. Then have a small break and they go then to South Africa and play 3 through December and January. Then in February they come back and they play Sri Lanka at home for 3. Then they have a substantial period of time where they're playing wherever they're playing, but they're going to be playing at home again and play Australia 4 tests towards the end of next year. Followed by November, they'll be playing Bangladesh. That's the 2022 year in a nutshell, with 23 leading into the next World Test Championship, as a matter of fact. So they're going to move into that as well. So that's the next stage of that. So I don't know where Apana is. She's supposed to be on. So Australia's Futures Tour. Then if you've got to mention that Australia's Futures Tour program, well, not much. They're playing against the West Indies and Bangladesh in July, I believe, and part of August. Then the IPL, depending on who's available, and then obviously the World Cup. Then they go home to Australia and they're playing Afghanistan in November in a test match in Hobart, or I'm pretty sure it's called Hobart, at Blundstone Stadium against Afghanistan. Australia versus Afghanistan the first time, and also the first time in Australia, and it'll be the first time in Hobart, and Tim Payne, being a Tasmanian from Hobart, will be the captain. So it's quite an honourable day. Then they'll play 5 test matches in the Ashes series, starting with Brisbane and then moving to, I think it's Adelaide, then Melbourne, Sydney, and then the last test is in Perth. Why is the Ashes series so important to England and Australia? Well, it's historical. It's been around for well over 100 years now. And that the significance of the Ashes was the burning of the bales after a loss, and that has become the trophy. That's the significance there. But it's all about the history of it. It's quite a bit of history. Longest history between 2 teams. But I'll tell you what, India and England and Australia, obviously, and Australia and India are becoming quite significant series. So are a number of others. Cricket is getting more popular, especially with women around the world. Women's cricket, it is becoming huge. Men's is waning a little bit, but it's getting bigger in the USA, certainly in parts of Asia, which is not normally the case. The UAE, Oman, for example. Some of the South Pacific countries around Australia, and obviously as well in Europe. So now it's not necessarily going away. I think the advent of a World Test Championship is going to make that even better now. Well, you'd argue that could have affected. Yes, family life does affect. I think it's affected Bumrah. Bumrah got married in between his previous matches. He probably lost a bit of direction, maybe, because he doesn't look himself. Kohli, maybe he's affected too. I mean, there are other priorities sometimes in life. Kohli isn't out of form, in my opinion. He's looking good, but just isn't kicking on. Reminds me of Tendulkar's bad patch from 05 to 06 when he had tennis elbow. Kohli got 40 odd in the first innings, and he started that third day of play, I think it was, and 44 not out. Got out third ball. It happens. The England-India series, result-wise, I don't think England are going to have their own way, put it that way. We may have thought that earlier on. I think India are going to do well. The batting has to improve somewhat. The bowling will be there. England will be pretty much there. I'm saying it's going to be 2-2 and a decider in the last, and it could be a toss-up between both. And I'd imagine it might be, with a bit of luck, it's India 3-2. It's going to be close, though. Okay. Why cricket cannot be played during rain, like for any particular reason? Well, there's not. It's the conditions are dangerous. It's slippery and all that. It's not. They're not. The shoes are not the same. The ball becomes quite dangerous because you're bowling a ball at people which have got batting gear on. It is difficult. Ultimately, if they had roof covers over the top, they might be able to play. Let's not discount that. That could change conditions dramatically, but yeah. But it's dangerous, that's correct. Do I think England has any chance in the Ashes series this time? Yes, I would say yes. You'd have to think Australia are favourites because they're at home. but Australia has not played well. Labuschagne and Smith are probably the only two batters that you could hang your hat on. Warren's up and down. They haven't got the same strengths in the bowling. If James Anderson and Broad play well, you never know. It's a very interesting point. It's a matter of just building. That's going to be an almighty stadium to have a cricket-sized venue completely undercover. There are not many grounds in the world that have that. I'm trying to think if there's any ground. I don't think there is any ground that currently has a roof over the whole ground. The Olympic Stadium here in Sydney, although it's not quite a cricket ground as such, we're going to try that. But the SCG certainly won't, because it's not an even stand. It's not an even. They've got a lot of old stands. It would be an incredible job to cover it. The MCG, maybe. Lord certainly can't because of the design of the stands. No. Wankhede, I don't think so. Maybe the new stadium in Gujarat there in Ahmedabad might, but that's just such a massive stadium. It would be incredible for a roof to even. They'll need poles in the middle of the field, which plays the dodge poles. I don't think it's going to. Well, cricketers are getting paid as much as footballers, maybe not the highest level of football, but they're certainly getting paid very well, don't worry. It's all about also merchandise and all about the product situation. It also comes down to that as well. So that's another aspect of it. So that's certainly another situation to be warranted there. So we're not going very well total-wise. What do we got here? We haven't got the same numbers we normally get, guys, but that's understandable because it's really an off day for this. Why teams not travelling well these days? In past, South Africa travelled well, but nowadays no teams travel. Well, the COVID's the major reason, if that's what you're talking about, because the amount of play that they have onto, we're starting to wear with people's lives. I think cricket was never played 12 months of the year. And the days have gone by, they didn't have teams playing 12 months of the year. They needed breaks, so that's probably part of it. After this COVID situation, can we meet me? Yes, I fully hope to come to India when I get a chance. Actually, today we've got lockdown here in Australia for the next 2 weeks, which will probably be extended. We had a sudden spike. We've had zero for more than 6 months, and all of a sudden we've got 80, 100, and it's going up comparatively high. Will make his 61st century. Well, it's actually his 71st century if you combine ODI and Test. He hasn't scored a T20 100. You'd hope the series. I think that he's due. Was Salah a neutral venue? Yes, absolutely. It's in England, for God's sake. Even though it was perhaps more New Zealand-like conditions, it didn't matter. It wasn't their home. And look, it was meant to be played at Lord's, which is neutral. And that's absolutely neutral. And they didn't know that New Zealand were going to make the final when they chose that ground. They did not know. Is Hardik Pandya overrated? He has only 1 century in 6 years. His bowling at the moment is non-existent, so he's overrated with his bowling. His batting, he can produce if he's given enough consistency. Who do you think has been a better captain between Virat and MS Dhoni? Look, MS Dhoni in the short format was certainly merited, and Test format he wasn't bad as well. Look, Kohli has really changed the attitude of the teams, which is more important in some cases than just simply having won titles. I think he's changed the way that India play. The better bowling attack, yeah, well, on the day. I mean, Jadeja and Bumrah didn't play well, and Ashwin had limited exposure. So, yeah, New Zealand bowled well all around. Jamieson certainly bowled. Southey bowled very well. Bowled admirably. India will play in the next World Test Championship final as per the schedule. Look, they're going to win a lot of those games. They'd have to go very close. You'd have to think so. Who'll be the winner of the IPL for 2021? I was always saying Delhi Capitals, and they're still on the mix. Mumbai Indians is always important. CSK were looking pretty good, but the rest, I'm not really sure whether any have got KKR, maybe, but really, it's got a lot of problems. Sunrisers Hyderabad's got a lot of issues. It's going to depend on what players are actually left, what players are actually going to come back to play, because a lot of the international players are not coming back. which is a bit sad. Looking at the test schedule of countries, which 2 countries will reach the World Test Championship final in 2023? Well, India certainly, I would argue, will be up there. New Zealand, if they keep the team up there, will also be very strong. And England will go close too. Australia, I don't think so. I think it'll be very much the same 3 sides up there. Will you talk to Sadat during England series? Yes, of course. Sadat will be there. Sadat will be there. Sol Willis, hopefully Monty Panesar, with Adam Holyoake, and even the likes of Alan Mullally, and then on top of that we'll have Chris Vernon. So yes, David Graveney will be there. I'll try and bring Barry Knight in, who's next England player. Yeah, there'll be quite a few. So that will certainly be there for me. So there'll be a lot of the Indian hosts will be there. Yes, absolutely. We saw that this WTC schedule was imbalanced, where a few teams played more games than others. Are we going to get more balance? I think so. I think they've learnt from this. It was not deliberate. It's just the way it panned out. I think they're planning more and more for this, and it'll be improved. It might take another World Test Championship to get it better, and then eventually it'll get really good, and we'll get on top of this. It's going to be, when they start putting schedules many, many years out, then we can start to really sort that issue out. So, yeah, I think it's going to get there. Give it time, guys. It's been a long time coming. We've now got it here. We've actually had a World Test Championship, and New Zealand have won. Good on them. We can move on to the next and grow. Let's have it really, really grow. And that'll be magnificent for it to grow. Absolutely fantastic. So let's look forward to it, guys. All right? Let's look forward to it in the future. Well, what do you think about Royal Challengers Bangalore this season? Yeah, they're another team I forgot out of the top 4. It's the Delhi Capitals, Mumbai Indians, CSK, and the other team is RCB. Yes. As long as they can get the access to A.B. de Villiers, Kohli, and Glenn Maxwell, and I don't know what's happening with Glenn Maxwell because he's pulled out of the 100, which is a tournament in England. He's pulled out of that, so I'm not sure. I'm assuming that he will play. No, I don't think he's a negative influence at all. He listens to Pujara and Rahane. There's no doubt about it. He doesn't not listen. They're well respected, trust me. And in the short form, Dan Christian, who was a part of this, you could see the evidence in listening to him. Whoever will win the Ashes will play next World Test Championship against India. An interesting point. Interesting point. I think it'll be England if that's the case. Do you think India will play 2 spinners in the first test against England? I'm not sure where it is. I would argue possibly not, although it is England, it's not New Zealand. And mate, why is Stark not in the IPL? He made a decision to stay at home with his wife, Alyssa Healy, and have a bit of a break. That was his decision. Maybe a good one if he comes back strong. He hasn't been playing overwhelmingly well, so he needed a break. And I respect him for that, because an IPL pay packet, anyone wants it. It's a lot of money. People die for that. But he decided not to take that. So you got to give credit to that. The reason Indian batsmen struggle to cope with swing because they don't play any county games, and the same thing goes for foreign teams when they travel to Asia. Look, it's true both ways. The old system where a team would go early, play some local matches, whether it's county in England or on the Asian circuit or in Australia, helped that immensely. There's no doubt about that. It fine-tunes you before the match, and that is a difficulty, and I agree with that. So, yeah, it is difficult. It's always going to be difficult if you come into a location, you haven't played the local grounds, the ball conditions, you're going to take some adjustment, and it's going to be difficult. Again, that makes the win in Australia by India even more sweet, which was a magnificent effort. Really was a magnificent effort. No doubt about that. Euro Cup today, big match. Belgium versus Portugal, my prediction. Portugal. Any other good spinner for Australia to follow Nathan Lyon legacy? Oh, my God, that's a great question. Adam Zampa, but he's not playing longer form. Swepson hasn't really done much. There are some average bowlers floating around there. They're lacking. Now, Nathan Lyon has dominated for a long, long time, so it probably hasn't been easy for people to come through. Did I see the Aussie swimming trials for the Women's Olympics? No, the Olympics, no, but Australia's always been good at swimming. We know that, and they're a force. Ganguly, Sachin, Dravid, and VVS all played county cricket in England. Exactly. That's a great example. And that's why they were good players in England. Pujaro's underwhelmingly a county record. Why does he not play well in England? I don't know. He should be suited to it because he plays late. Yeah, so that's my thoughts. Did the Aussie swimming trials? I didn't see them, but the Olympics, if everything goes to plan, will be interesting. It'll be exciting to see what happens there. All right. Just having a bit of a look there, what's going on. Yeah, look, the world of sport is certainly buoyant, considering we have an IPL coming up. We have a World Cup. We have a 5-test series against England coming up. We have an Ashes. We have a other series where India playing New Zealand. There's plenty of others going on. I think there's a lot of good things to look forward to. Australia are looking to test team with Steve Smith. Do Australia look for Smith in the upcoming Ashes as a batter? Yes, Steve Smith, a good batter, should be in the side. Just stick to batting those guys, should have moment. Just leave captaincy alone. Has the World Cup schedule been released? Not in its full form, no, but I think the dates were talked about in the UAE. That's been announced. I think there might even be some games in Oman as well. That starts, I think it's September 17th is the IPL to October 10th or 12th, and then within a few days after, I think the 14th, the World Cup starts in UAE through to basically, I think, November. They had to make a change in the Indian team after the WCC. When they're facing, what would it be? Siraj, no doubt. Siraj should be in the side, absolutely. Batting wise, I'd keep the batting side the same. Pujaro's a good batsman, but he seems to get in his shell, and that's what's troubling him. He should try to score. No, he played an incredibly important innings against Australia, where he basically stopped wickets falling and they batted around him, batted fantastic, and they won the match. So no, I have a lot more faith in Joe than you like. I like to go visit Joe, but the spiders there are massive. They certainly are. In fact, they're not that big. The redback spider is only small. It's got a little red dash on its back. That can kill you. It's small as anything. Yeah, I think this is a good point. We've talked about that quite a bit, where it's starting. Afghanistan are playing a test match before the England Ashes series. You could play Nepal. You could play a whole host of other teams you can mention as a one-off test before a major test series, so as to get an exposure. I would agree with that. I think they've listened, because I think that's what they're doing with the Afghanistan test match in Australia. I think they've listened. Australia's lacking a spinner. They're lacking depth in their bowling, because if you take away Hazelwood, Stark and Cummins, there's only James Pattinson really coming through, and Nessa, and that's really it. They've got a lot of, they've got Jai Richardson maybe, and Meredith maybe, but they're still way off. What do you think about Gaikwad in the India test team? He needs a bit of time. Should India play in the Big Bash? Well, why not? I think Australia should play. They're playing the IPL, aren't they? So why wouldn't they play India in the Big Bash? I can't see a reason why not. This is a repeated question. I've said not to put repeated questions. So I've already asked that question, so don't put it twice, okay? If you do that again, I'm not going to answer it. I'm not appreciating that. Please don't do that. It just spends a lot of spamming time, which is not good for us all. Now, Aparna Sani was supposed to be coming. I don't know what's happened to her. Let's just see if she's messaged me. She says she's coming now, so she'll be here in a minute, looks like. What time is it now? Okay, so Aparna will be here shortly. I think the World Cup is starting in October. The World Cup is starting in October, you're right. October 14th, I believe. So you have a bit of a break now, at least as far as India is concerned. With England, there's a break. There's the 100's being played through July, that tournament. And you've got Australia touring the West Indies and Bangladesh. You've got currently matches between Sri Lanka and West Indies. Sorry, Sri Lanka and England. And you've got West Indies are playing South Africa at the moment as well. So a lot of people are travelling to the West Indies. It seems to be a very common place people are going to, because West Indies are going to be facing South Africa. They've had Sri Lanka before. They've got Australia. I think even Bangladesh is involved there somewhere. There's quite a bit going on for West Indies. Good on them. They already need a bit of action happening in their part of the world. A world of women's cricket going on. Okay. There is some short form action happening with India and England. And I'm not sure the score. Let's have a look. We can see what the score is. I'm not going to get the score up. See, people say there's nothing going on. There's plenty going on. Milan and Bairstow and Willie have handed Sri Lanka a thrashing. It's quite disturbing, actually. In the women's game, India women in a 50-over match, they're 8 for 201. And innings break. So in England, in a 50-over match, have to get 201, which you would think is a gettable score for the England women's team. The England women's team is particularly good. India have held their own a fair bit, but India all out, well, not all out, they're 8 for 201 with, let me look at the batting scores there. Mithali Raj got 72. Poonam Rao got batted first up, she got 32. Dipti Sharma, who normally opens, is actually down the order. She got 30. Mithali Raj, Tanya Bharti was the last week out. She got 8 for 7. Mithali Raj fell at 6 for 180, so she was in there from 227. She was there for 160 runs, so she did very well. Mithali Raj is amazing. 22 years at senior level, playing since 1999. Quite a magnificent player, for sure. Well, Mithali Raj will be in there, but it's intriguing the dynamics of that team with Mithali Raj as captain and Harmanpreet Kaur, who wants to be captain. That's an interesting debate there. Who has the worst young talent in the world for cricket? Well, it's a horrible thing to say the worst, but Australia's lacking. I'm telling you now, I know the depth of Australian cricket. They've got great women's cricket. Men's, they're a bit lacking. South Africa's a bit weak in the batting department. South Africa's good in the bowling department. Pakistan, we don't really know how they're going, but they look pretty good. Sri Lanka's having some real issues. I think Sri Lanka's probably going to be the worst. Alex Hales is very lucky. He has not got any chance in the England squad, as he's doing very nicely in different leagues. Why? Well, Alex Hales, I think, is more of a disciplinary side of Alex Hales, which is why I think he was a bit of a rebellious type. I think he was into various things he shouldn't have been and was partying a bit hard, and I think he was disciplined for that reason. Do I think Virat Kohli can play in his 40s, considering his supreme fitness? I don't think Virat Kohli will want to play in his 40s, let alone if he does. Look at Chris Gale. He's 42, if I'm not wrong, and he's playing particularly well. Yeah, Virat Kohli could definitely play longer. So is AB de Villiers, but AB de Villiers chose to retire from at least the main formats of Test cricket and the like. He plays the various leagues, and Kohli may do the same thing. I think he'll play IPL for an indefinite period of time. But look, Kohli's financially probably well off enough now. He doesn't need to keep playing. But yeah, he'll play for a while. But 40 plus, maybe not. I don't know. It's up to him, really. If he's fit enough, he can, I guess. After Kumar Sangha and Mahela Jawala isn't looking as strong. Angelo Matthews did a good job for a period, and so did Dinesh Chandimal, and the young Russian Dickwella and the Kelsey Mendes and Kelsey Pereira, they're all pretty good, but yeah, they're lacking that standout player and certainly standout bowler. They're certainly lacking both of those departments. I would agree with that totally. Yeah, Sri Lanka are going through some needy transition, and it's a bit unfortunate. It certainly is unfortunate for Sri Lanka at the moment. They aren't as good as they should be. I think it's administration, though. I do think it's more administration than not, in my opinion. So that's the issue that there is. Now, let's have a look here. I didn't expect a big crowd of people today, but look at that guest on. Let's have a look. Aparna Sami has joined us. Oops. Hello, Aparna. Can you hear me? I can't hear you because you got yourself on mute. You got yourself on mute. Yeah, Parna's on. It's good to see. I'll move her over here too, so she's in a better spot.
Can you hear me now?
I certainly can.
Okay.
You're a bit close.
Hey, how are you?
Good. How are you? You're a bit close to the screen a little bit, but I'll just get you to move back. That's perfect. That's perfect. You got a new hairstyle there. Kind of new.
Oh, that's my non-combed hair.
Looks good. Looks good.
That's
though.
not my hairstyle.
Looks good. Looks good. Well, I was just talking to people about a whole host of things. The women are playing. India are playing. England at the moment. The match. Sri Lanka got beaten by England in a short form version. West Indies thumped South Africa with the likes of Gale, Andre Russell, all these, oldies, you would argue. And they're talking a lot about who should be dropped from the Indian side, which is a bit harsh. I mean, when you have a team that makes the final, you can't be knocked. You can't suddenly. If they didn't make the final, they'd make the quarterfinals or something if that existed. Then you'd start talking about change. But not when a team makes the final. Really, it's a bit harsh.
I know.
I think.
Why do you? Yeah. You know what? That's the culture with Indian fan following. They can make you kings, treat you like gods, and then if you have a bad day or one bad tournament, it can really backfire, which I think that culture needs to be changed.
Absolutely. So those that don't know, this is Aparna Saini. She has her own YouTube platform called Cricket Conversations with Aparna Saini, which has gone gangbusters. You've got several thousand subscribers. It's a very good channel. She's been a great host for, my God, well over almost a year now in all sorts of formats. Has been on ABP News, on Sports Tack, on Extra Time, on Sports Today, my channel, her channel, lots of different platforms. It's been very impressive. It's good to have a partner on there.
Always a pleasure working with you, Norman.
And it's been really good. We've gone very well. Today's a bit quiet. New South Wales played Queensland in the rugby league. New South Wales won, which makes me happy. A lot of Rabbitohs players playing for that team. Not many Bulldogs players, I'm afraid, your team. We've got Mithali Raj, who's played for her country for 22 years, is still playing well. She got 72 today. But the team only got 201, but she got 72, which is pretty impressive. What was have you been on since the World Test Championship? Why do you think,
Norman, what's your thought
on
with the World Cup of India losing the World Cup? World Test Championship. What's the main reason? What would you say?
Honestly, I think New Zealand is better. New Zealand bowled very well. Jameson took some important wickets. Kane Williamson batted well in both innings. He got 54 in the second, I think not out, and 49 in the first. His 49 in the first, there was a stage where, first of all, India were 3 for 146 or thereabouts. They batted really, really well, looked fantastic. Started the next day, they lost Kohli early. Rahane batted okay, but then when he needed to bat longer, he didn't. They got 217. Then New Zealand went in the bat and started well, but they ended up being 7 for 192, and they could have been under the 217. But that's the moment when Williamson created a backbone and allowed Southey and Jamieson to get runs, and they went to 249. That was a pivotal change. They scored 57 runs for the last 3 wickets and went from being behind to in front. That was critical. So at that point, India were in front. Then India went into bat and didn't bat badly, but the bowling was more and more difficult to face because of the conditions. Both of the Indian openers, Rohit Sharma and Shubman Gill, batted particularly well. They didn't go on with it, but they batted well. To be 62 as an opening partnership is on a flat track almost. It's quite a good effort. So you can't knock them. But the reality is that New Zealand just came back better. Then in the last innings, when India had an opportunity, they didn't quite get there. And then Williamson and Ross Taylor, experienced as they are, batted out and won the match. So really, under the conditions, New Zealand was just a better team, especially in the bowling department. But India played admirably. They played well. They did. There was one mistake that Kohli made, not bowling Ashwin at one stage. So that was one mistake, but it was not a major mistake. But the form of Bumrah was very, very disappointing. He bowled very, very poorly. Rahane getting out at 49 the way he did was pretty unfortunate, and Jadeja was a bit ineffective. So they probably would have been better off having Mohammad Siraj on the side, and it may have been a better situation for them. So they did well, and I'm glad someone won rather than a draw, because a draw would have meant having to share the damn thing, which would have been horrible. So no, I don't think India did badly at all, and they were underdone. They didn't practice before. It's a fair comment. And no one can knock the scheduling, because it was just the way it is. They're always going to play that match that time. It didn't favour New Zealand, just the way it was. The only thing that would have been fair is maybe New Zealand could have played England after the World Test Championship as opposed to before. That would have made both sides new or fresh to it. So, yeah. So I think
it was not fair on Indian teams because of two reasons. First, ICC should not allow New Zealand should have played against England just before the World Test Championship, because that's so unfair on India.
Yeah,
because they've had practice playing in those conditions in that with a team like England, but whereas India did not get to do that, so that was a drawback already. And then, but Indian cricket team went to England with a decent, fast bowling unit with Ishant Sharma, as you said, Shami, Jasprit, Bumrah, Siraj, and even Thakur, while keeping Krishna and as the reserve players in the build-up of the final. There were discussions on the bowling combination, which May failed. The debate even went on on the playing 11 was finally before even it was announced, but they went on with 3 paces and 2 spinners and refused to change it even after day 1 when they was washed out.
Yeah, it makes some very good points there. One of the things, Shami bowled really well. Ishant Sharma bowled well. Bumrah was extremely disappointing, because Bumrah was the leader of the attack and did not take 1 wicket in the entire match. That, if you're the leader of the attack, you should be getting 4 or 5 wickets, and he didn't. And that was very disappointing. And I think that Bumrah, maybe not telling us the truth, maybe he was carrying an injury or his heart wasn't in it and perhaps shouldn't have played. And Siraj would have been guns blazing and would have been a better player, for sure.
Is there any confirmations on that, Norman?
No, there was no discussion about his being injured.
That's your call.
My call. But Mohammad Shami had broken his arm, don't forget, and came back and played so well. So he can't be knocked. It really comes down to Bumrah and possibly Jadeja.
Yeah, well, great effort anyway. But moving forward, we have a huge tournament. We still have T20 World Cup coming up.
Exactly. I mean, let's be honest. The IPL took priority over England. Sorry, took priority over India going to England earlier. Let's be honest. If they didn't play the IPL, and I'm not saying they should have, but if they decided not to play the IPL and India had gone over earlier, it could have helped them greatly. But they did come a lot later and gave them little time to play. It may have affected them. You don't know. So IPL,
and especially after the IPL got postponed, people were more talking about the T20 World Cup. So that was the hype up. Even though it's always going to take place in the final quarter of the year, the buzz was already there just for T20 World Cup.
Yeah.
Well, I would not say India took it lightly for the World Test Championship, but it was definitely a drawback. And we should not forget that we still have one more huge event that I think everyone is looking forward to.
Oh, look, there's no doubt. But look, the main thing is the World Test Championship has now happened. It's on the program. New Zealand won. Somebody won. We're now moving to the next stage. So that's a huge development because it's been years coming to have a World Test or World Cup for Test cricket. That's what it is. So it's a great step forward. I'm excited about that. It's now on the program. It's every 2 years, which is a bit frequent, but it's on the program now, and they'll get better at it, location-wise, timing-wise, and it'll get better and better. So I think it's a great step forward. We have to be realistic. It couldn't have been perfect to start with. It had its issues, as do any tournament when they start. So I don't think there's a problem. This man wants to know about Muralitharan. Well, he took the most wickets in Test cricket, didn't he? He's got to be applauded for that. He's got a funny bowling action, yes, but he did it. He's now on record. I mean, he and Shane Warne are the leading two, and the only person that's going to go near them may well be Ashwin if he plays long enough. Or James Anderson. Probably not James Anderson, but Ashwin's got a chance that he keeps playing for long enough. He might be up there one day himself. That's a great thing. So what is your thoughts apart? Look, women's cricket, for example, we see that they're playing a test match. Well, they did play a test match, India versus England. Now India are going to play Australian women's test match in Australia later on this year. Great stories. Another great set of stories. The ICC are listening. Okay, they've made a few errors here and there, but it's not because they're not trying to do the right thing. I think they're in a good place. The BCCI have Ganguly. We have Nick Hockley now in Australia. There's some good moves forward, I can assure you. I think things are looking a lot better.
Even Rahul Dravid has taken, he's going to be the coach for Sri Lankan tour. I think which is starting next month.
Yep.
While
absolutely.
India is still going to play a few matches against England.
Exactly. So it's a great thing. It's Rahul Dravid's going to be coaching the national India side at some stage when Ravi Shastri.
And Shikhar Dhawan is the captain.
He is, and Bhuvi Kumar is there as well. No, that's true. So
yeah. Are they in quarantine yet?
I think they're already in Sri Lanka. I think they're in Sri Lanka. I'm not sure. I think they are. I remember seeing some.
I think they're in Mumbai.
Are they? Oh, they're together anyway. They're not far from going across. It won't be long before they go across. Because it's now June 27th, for God's sake. My God, this year's gone quickly, Aparna, hasn't it, so far? Don't you reckon?
Yeah, it has. But good to see a lot of cricket happening, Norman.
Well, and you've been great. You've done very well. Your knowledge of cricket is amazing. Your understanding of cricket is amazing. You ask good questions. We had fun with Steve Waugh a month ago. Today, interesting development with the gentleman I talked about earlier too, who I met today. I'll talk about it later, but he may not be so keen to be so public. But we'll talk about that later. He's had some, but I will talk about that more. It's a bit of just after I spoke to you, it happened, but I'll go on about that more. But it was great to meet the young gentleman.
Have you? Is he not allowed to mention his name on air?
Yeah, there's a bit of a question mark. I'll talk to you about that later. I think he may have had some thoughts about it, but we'll talk about it post-show. But it's still a great day. We interviewed a lot of people on the streets of Sydney, which I shouldn't have because it was COVID written. What do you think of the COVID situation in Sydney? It's a bit of a worry, isn't it?
Well, 2 weeks of lockdown starting yesterday. Today was the first day, technically. So what needs to be done, it needs to be done. I mean, India's gone through it, especially I'm from Delhi. And back in my country, in Delhi, there was lockdown for nearly a month, I would say.
Was it just a month?
I just can't wait for this COVID to go away.
Well, I'm afraid it's not going to go away, is it? It's going to be here every season. We've just got to be better vaccinated so as we don't die from it, but we may still get it. like the flu. You get the flu every year and you recover. You're vaccinated against it killing you, and elderly people will suffer. It's going to be a year in, year out thing, I think. We've got to get used to it, I'm afraid. That's what I think. As opposed to worrying about it as much. As long as it doesn't kill you, then we're going to get the flu. You got the flu in previous years, so did I. We got through it. It's not very pleasant. You're in bed for a few days, maybe a week or so. If it comes to that, then we'll have to live with it, because I'm afraid it's not going anywhere. It's not going anywhere quickly. We're not going to eradicate COVID-19. It's going to be a year in, season out scenario like the flu, and hopefully we're vaccinated. It was only I think it's 5% of Australia was vaccinated. That was something really, really, really low. It's a bit of a worry. I'm not vaccinated. Are you vaccinated?
Well, I'm not in the criteria yet of the age group.
You're not as old, but it will happen for sure.
Yeah. No, soon. They've started about 45 or 40 plus, like up till 40. So I'm not obviously. Am I looking that old?
I know you're not that old. You're nowhere near that. So do you know about the 100? Do you know what the 100 is? Do you know about that? It's a competition in England. The 100 is 25 ball overs, and they bowl 10 overs from one end and then they go to the other end. It's a lot quicker. I'm not a big fan of it just yet, but
me neither.
No, it's becoming park cricket almost. I'm not impressed with it. I think it's not.
It's just getting smaller and like shorter and shorter games. Like it would be like 20 minutes. Like game would start in 20 minutes. Both teams will play and be done. Like a Super Bowl or something.
Yeah, it's not really. If they claim it's going to win over new audiences, more people who don't watch cricket that much, more women. I don't think so. I think it's going to be too much. I agree with you. I don't think it's and there's no time for it. They're going to play it in July, squished between a World Cup and a World Test Championship and Test. It's too much. They're putting on too much cricket, if you ask me, in the world.
Yeah, I know. I would agree with that.
Because cricketers in my day, and I'm not talking about that long ago, really, only played in summer. Now they're playing 12 months of the year.
Throughout the
It's okay. It's money driven. Yes, they earn a lot of money, more money for sure. But yeah, I was meant to have Ben Cutting on the show, and he promised this week. He hasn't done it yet, but I'm hoping he comes on next week. He can talk about it himself. He's playing the IPL circuits and plays for Kolkata Knight Riders, and lovely young bloke, by the way. Very nice young bloke. Yes. All right. So you've got some questions directed to you. Your thoughts? We've talked about that. Your prediction of the India. What's your prediction of the India-England Test series, the 5 Test matches?
Well, I would say, why did the venue was chosen to start with was England, because throughout their performance hasn't been great. So ICC thought that was a fair to have England as the venue, because they would definitely not make it. And India was in the final, so I think there's all hopes. India will definitely show the actual game and show the actual form to, I would say, and argue to some extent that they did not get that sort of platform, right environment, deciding a winner of what it took 2 years to get, to be in the final, and then deciding a match which is weather affected. India has always been a great, great team, and England hasn't been performing very well, I would say, as compared to definitely, it was tough to win against Australia, but England, I can see India, coming back and showing us what we didn't get to see in the World Test Championship.
Well, it's 5 Test matches, so it's quite a long Test series. The Ashes is also 5, in fact, sometimes 6. 5 matches, it's a lot of Test matches. So a lot of the Indian players will be tested, as will the English players, fitness and everything. So Siraj will get a go, Washington Sundar, Akshar Patel. It's going to be interesting how they mix and match some of those players. Hopefully we see Kohli fire and Rohit Sharma fire. I hope they get big centuries. It'd be exciting to see them come back to form like that. I really would love to see that happen. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, no, me too, definitely. I'm not sure which one I'm more excited about, the Test series or the Sri Lankan tour.
Oh, really? I mean, the Sri Lankan tour will bring out a lot of young players. India will smash them.
Yeah, but no doubt about that.
Well, Sri Lanka are in such poor form. It's just, and it's not just their playing ability; it's their approach, management. There's a lot of issues there.
And a different team, we would say. Um, it'll be quite interesting to watch. Definitely, I'm looking forward to the Sri Lankan one as well,
Yeah.
because Rahul Dravid and Virat Kohli is not the captain there because he's not going to be there. It's just different. It could be the future, next team coming
Oh,
up.
absolutely. It's exciting, actually. And India A, or whatever you want to call them, will play more series like this. And that's the success. They say that's why New Zealand have been doing very well, because they have a New Zealand A team going around the world playing and building their ability up and being ready to jump to the next stage. And they've done that. New Zealand have depth now. They have Matt Henry in the bowling. They have a lot of great bowlers, good batters. Pretty good.
Considering New Zealand didn't start playing long ago,
And
they've
their
been really,
population's not
really
big on.
good.
That's very, very impressive. It's been a great development of New Zealand cricket. They've got depth now, which is really, really, really impressive. It's a very, very good thing to see, and all goes well for the future. As a matter of fact, it's very, very pleasing. Absolutely. All right, what other question we got here?
Early predictions for world.
What is your okay? Well, there's a lot of questions about I didn't catch up with. Oh, you look, Dr. Ramachan Rice saying you look beautiful. I don't think he's talking about me somehow.
I think he.
All
right, we need some clarifications.
This is your cricket lover. What's cricket lover written about you? A partner, absolute breath of fresh air. Seeing you back on air. Have been checking you on channel Cricket Conversation with the partner Sammy to see if there are any new videos. There you go.
Soon. We are in lockdown, and I don't want to break any rules, but no, for sure, soon we'll see some new videos with me and Norman doing some bit of more banter when the lockdown is over.
Yeah, we should go. The Opera House have bridge again. That's good. Look forward to next video. Looks like you and Norman had great time with SW Steve Waugh, of course. We had a great time with him. He was really, really good. Steve Waugh was such a nice bloke, wasn't he? Such a nice bloke.
Down to earth person.
He really impressed me. And Ben Cutting, who you haven't met yet, is just the same. He's a lovely young man. And he's married to Erin Holland, who's from Channel 7. He's one of the hosts of Channel 7.
Oh.
She lives in Coogee. Coogee, everybody lives in Coogee.
I think, I should be looking forward to moving to Coogee, but not after what there's been a break. Bondi has been a hotspot.
Because you actually,
you guys has got us all in lockdown.
That's true. Up until a few days ago, you weren't in lockdown, were you? We were. You weren't. For once, the North Shore. Once the North Shore was actually COVID free, you were the blame earlier on, but now it's us. And on Carrington Road too, where I live on my road.
I know. I'm very shocked. It's you, Norman. You're doing the interviews on the streets. And I've been living in Northern Beaches and I've been not doing it. That's the only reason I would say. You should be fined massively.
Well, it's too late now. What is the fine? Is there a fine? I was just walking down talking to people. The streets will. If I was going to be fined, I know. But if the whole street would be fined, well, plenty of it. Who was your favourite for the upcoming series? Now we're talking about Aral Jossi. You're talking about again. You haven't given us a prediction, Aparna, for the England 5 Test matches. What was your prediction?
I would say 3.
Well, it's 5 minutes.
Well, let's just put it that way. India is going to win hands down. There is no doubt about that.
Okay. It's going to be interesting. That India should have a great chance to win. You're right. But it might be something like 3-2. That's what I'm predicting.
That's what I said, 3-2. But I just didn't want to put a number. But India hasn't got a chance to actually what they went there for, to show their true form, to what they actually capable of. And I think, not blaming anyone, but now they will go and show us how its test format is played, which was a bit unfair for a huge opportunity like World Test Championship. But any which way, it was only start of something. Just unfortunate weather, unfortunate conditions. India got a bit unlucky. Bad decisions were made, and New Zealand is a great team. So yeah.
Now, with your tennis background, women's tennis is virtually an equal of men's tennis. They get paid the same, don't they? They play at the same time. They have a lot more sponsors. One of the people was saying that won't happen unless women wear skimpy dresses. I don't think that's going to be the case. But do you see a day? Yeah, it's pretty cheeky comment, I must say. But do you think there'll be a day? Remark. Do you think women and men will get paid the same as they do in tennis and cricket?
See, I think there would be a time, whether it takes 5 years or 10 years, and we're definitely heading towards it.
We are. The women's big bash certainly has improved it. Yeah,
they play equally interesting and equally, I would say there are some players actually can play better than who are in their Indian men's team. And like wicketkeeper, what was Norman? You've had so many players with a manager.
You've met Rebecca.
So many. But people don't watch. You don't promote. Something is out there that they don't know about.
And look at the women's World Cup.
What's the capacity?
Remember the Women's World Cup? They had 85,000 at the MCG with Katy Perry. It was a big performance.
Katy Perry, yeah.
I think they could do it. They've got to sponsors have got to have a bit of strength of character, because there are more women playing cricket around the world now in all sorts of countries. They can promote more women's clothing for cricket, etc., and then there'll be all sorts of possibilities, I reckon.
See, it's about the funding. That all countries has to fund more money towards the training, towards more events happening for women cricket teams. Absolutely. So if you don't put enough revenue in, how can you expect something, And you have to promote. The culture is changing slowly. Like back in the days, it was a men's world out there. Well, these days it's feminism, equality, if used correctly. So we just all should promote women's cricket as well, because they have a lot of capability to show in cricket, which we haven't seen so far.
And they've got the spending power. Women would love to be involved. They're going to turn up. It's the growth area of cricket. Men's cricket's there too, but women's cricket is the growth area. No doubt about that. Exactly. Early predictions for World Cup T20. Okay. This is Shail Manju's predictions of India, England, West Indies, and Pakistan. I agree with 3 of them. India, England, West Indies, I agree with. Pakistan, certainly.
Australia?
No. I reckon they're not. The top 4 or 5 will be India, England, West Indies, New Zealand, and then maybe Pakistan, then Australia. I'll tell you what, Australia need to get their act together.
I would say not England.
Really? Why?
I think Australia's got Australian players been doing great.
Yeah, they've been playing well as a team, though. They haven't been playing well as a team.
Yeah, but they're not very good in the short format, I know, and especially T20, because India won even here, and we saw it was that was in that level. But yeah, definitely England. I'm not sure about that. That someone I would like to swap with some other team.
Really? Okay. Well, then who are you picking then? You're picking India, West Indies?
I'm not sure. Australia can surprise us.
Okay.
They've got the capability. If they really have their focus right, I think they can, be in the finals of
Well,
T20
let's
World
hope.
Cup.
They've got to do some soul searching, to be honest. They've got a few things they've got to sort out in the next
Soul
6
searching.
months or so. They do. There's something really missing at the moment with Australia. They're
What are you doing, Norman?
I'm nothing. I'm just checking on some other updates to the scores.
No. You got to speak up to the Australian team. We need some good
I'm not
competition
saying it
between India and
negative.
Australia at the
I'm being
World
realistic.
Cup.
I'm being realistic.
What do you think is lacking in Australian team?
Depth of players, because the states are not producing players. The local grades for men are not producing players as they used to. Women's cricket, certainly. Sydney is the best in the world. That's going gangbusters. There are less men playing the longer formats, as in young people too. That's showing now. They haven't got many. They've got a lack of good batsmen coming through. Bowlers as well. If you go up below the surface of Australian cricket at the moment, the lower level sides, they're not coming through with the young players. There are some, yes, but not nearly the same as they used to be. And that's well documented and well evidenced. I think there's a lot of issues regarding it's just this we've lost the aspiration of players above us. I'm afraid Warner's with Smith and Bancroft, that incident now 3 or 4 years ago, has damaged Australian cricket. The administration being very arrogant and perhaps worrying about the upper level more. And the state level was also a bit of a mess. They're getting back to it, but it's not going to South Africa, for example, because of COVID, when most of the countries were still travelling, was too, a bit unfortunate, really. There was a bit of a lack there. So, yeah, we've got the depth missing. New Zealand have got their act together. They've got a New Zealand A team floating around. They've got a next level below their test level, which is really good. India's got 2 or 3 teams below them. England's got a pretty good depth now. Pakistan's okay. Sri Lanka's terrible. South Africa's terrible. So there's a lot
Even
of problems.
What do you think about the Indian team for T20? I would say, for Bumrah, I think would be number 1 for sure. Because what's your prediction? There's a lot of talks going on. I think Bumrah and I would say Deepak Chahar and Shami would be my third choice.
But Bumrah's going to find his form.
Bumrah's
going to find form. But the other players you mentioned are very good. There's a lot of players. Oh my God, there are so many Indian players for the T20 squad. Kishan?
Siraj.
Oh, Siraj is huge. He's
Umesh,
a month.
Shardul Thakur.
Oh yeah. And then Akshar Patel and Washington Sundar can bowl well in a short format.
Shami hasn't played a lot of T20 cricket for the national side, picking 12 wickets in as many games. I mean, his current average is in that. So Shami, I wouldn't want to see him playing the T20.
True.
There's so many young players waiting, and they showed us when the main team they were saying was missing in action in Australia.
Absolutely. I mean, Bumrah didn't play, don't forget, as well in that series towards the end. And it was Siraj came through and got 5 wickets in the final innings. I wonder if Siraj had played the World Test Championship in place of Bumrah, let's say, and taken 5 wickets and won the match and won the World Test Championship. What would we be saying now? And that's pretty much one of that was a big issue. Bumrah was the leader of the bowling pack and didn't take a wicket. The leader of the bowling attack and didn't take a wicket. That's pretty. If you're the leader of the bowling attack, you're supposed to take. He had 2 innings and he didn't take 1. He took 0. Whereas Shami stood up. Ishan Sharma bowled well. Ashwin bowled pretty well. So effectively, there's something wrong there. Bumrah's, I think they relied on him too much. Maybe they relied on him too much, and he was just not up to it. Very sad.
Hardik Pandya should be prepare himself to bowl in the T20 World Cup.
Absolutely. If he's in form.
There was a talk about he didn't do that in Australia.
No, he was injured with his bowling. He was there, but he wasn't there. Yeah, I don't know what's wrong. I don't know whether
he should be prepared by World Cup.
Maybe let's hope that he's still going to be in that side, because he's in the Indian team playing against Sri Lanka in Sri Lanka, and apparently he's going to bowl in that series, so he'll have the chance to show himself. Now, this is will IPL replace international cricket? No, it won't replace it. It's been IPL's been really, really good for international cricket, I think. But you have a squished format. You've got a World Test Championship, the 100, the 5 Test matches against England. You've got the World Cup and the IPL all squished in together because of COVID. Let's be honest, because of COVID. COVID's created this problem. IPL wouldn't have been on at all had they finished it back when they were supposed to. So that was a distinct problem. Yeah. Very much so. All right, England are the number 1 T20 side in the world. They are at the moment, that's right. But India are not far behind. If Pandya isn't bowling, there's no point.
Exactly right.
That's a good point. Yep, good point, Ashaj. With most international teams going downhill, IPL will replace national cricket. No, that's not going to be the case. With World Test Championship coming up,
in 10 years, maybe.
Well, it won't. It would be wrong, and I don't think even India would like that. No,
international cricket is international cricket, Norman. You would agree.
No. The IPL is only played for 1 to 2 months in a year. It can't replace it. That's impossible. It's not going to replace it. That's not a true statement. Yeah. Okay, this is a good point. This Dr. Rai fellow has said that there are a lack of practice matches for a year. Well, India should have played matches before the World Test Championship. They're having a break now. They're holidaying in Brighton and places like that. There's no county matches in England against the Indian touring side. And towards the end of July, they should have played 1 to 2 matches against teams to warm up for that. Yes, I agree with that. That could be a detrimental thing. They need to be given a bit more practice against the Duke's ball, which they will be facing. So I agree with that. And Kumar saying England will win today. They should, because I think, what's the score? England women are none for 18. They're not afraid of it. They're batting quite slowly, but Lauren Winfield Hill and Tammy Beaumont, who's been around for a while, they're playing, and the Indian bowlers are Goswami still there and Shikhar Pandey. Not Shikhar Dhawan, but Shikhar Pandey. They're both there. But look, yeah, you would think England are just a bit too good for India at home, for sure. So look here. So who do you ask the question to the viewers? You ask a few questions to the viewers now, partner. Ask some questions like who they'd like to see us interview. You ask the questions to the audience.
I think we should create a poll. You should create a poll. I know you won the one with who's the most beauty votes. We have to do that again. And you said we will, but that never happened. So
what should my question be? Give me an example of what my question should be.
Oh, it should be, first of all, the beauty votes should be counted again.
The beauty polls should be counted. And I'll leave me out of it this time. Ooh, but leave me out of it, then what are we going to do?
Ooh, no, that can't be happening. Because then you'll get away with saying that I wasn't there this time.
Okay, so what we're going to say, who is the...
Anyway, but yeah.
No, I want to say beautiful. Who is your favourite? Who's your favourite co-host? So, and
that'd be an interesting one.
I'll put Aparna Saini as one. Who else should I put?
Oh, don't worry. No one is accepting any money.
There's no money. And Naisha Tucker, I'll put her in there. Chris Vernon. Should I put him? He won't win any votes. Who else should I put in? I'll put in Keshav. No, not Keshav. Who should I put in? I've got you, Anisha, Chris Vernon. Who else?
Preeti?
No. Shupali?
Or wait. I'll tell you another name.
Who?
Norman Kontrak.
No, I've been in the. I won the other one, so.
No, come on. I want to do it against you, Norman. Come on, you got to be in the name.
You reckon?
Yes.
Aparna, Anisha, Chris Vernon, Shupali, and me. And what about? They're going to put me because they're going to think they're going to have to put me. I'll get rid of Chris Vernon. I'll put Gargi. You sure you want me to put me in there?
Yes. You were there last time and you won apparently, so the winner should be there.
No. This is co-host, so no, it can't be.
Okay, all right. Well, we'll do a separate one. Who's most funniest and good-looking host on both platforms, on Cricket Conversation with Avana Seni and Eyes on Cricket with Norman Kontrak.
I'll just put it here. I'll just put it down. That's good. All right. So can you see it? Can you see it coming up? Well, you have to vote for yourself. Get your vote.
Of course. I'll be making a few other accounts.
You haven't voted yet. Why aren't you voting? I'm scrolling and you're not voting. Am I able to vote?
Well, I'll be the game changer, you know? That one last vote.
Well,
that, you know, like 1 minute before 24 hours?
Yeah. Oh, that's funny. Get people to ask the viewers to get their own poll, what they'd like me to put forward. Ask the viewers for me now. Ask the viewers from your side. Go on.
Yeah, definitely, guys. Norman is very interactive host you would find on YouTube, I would say. And so am I, if you go on my channel as well. So
we've had 4 votes.
Use that opportunity to ask me and Norman to create a poll that you would like us to post on our page.
Exactly.
So we can be the voice.
Page and my page. Really, everybody that's on today, I want you to go to Cricket Conversations with Aparna Sani, which, where is it? Is it below? Let's have a look. Is it below? There it is there. There it is there. Yeah. So it's Cricket Conversations with Aparna Sani. So far, after 4 votes, there's been 4 votes. You're 75%.
Who's got the votes?
You're 75%.
Come on, guys. What's going on?
They'll get on it. And everybody loves to hate England. Okay. Yeah, I don't know about we hate England, but they're a very good bunch of people.
No, well, they started the cricket, but doesn't mean that they're going to be number 1, and we have to hate them. India has taken over a long time ago. So there's no hiding. It's just being truthful and honest about what's the stats say.
Well, the reality is India has certainly become dominant in world cricket. It was previously Australia. Before that, it was probably the West Indies. Before that, it was England, Sri Lanka, and Pakistan occasionally. I think it's time for India to dominate. That's fantastic.
Pakistan used to be in the finals. That used to be the most watched, finals. There was a lot of TVs has been broken. Let me tell you, Norman. Not in India, though.
How's your mobile going?
Well, I would say in both countries, but not in India. Oh my God, that was not because India lost.
Okay,
that's called accidents. Indians don't break TVs and telephones. The percentage is very low for that.
So, you've dropped off.
Thank you.
There are 10. There are 10 votes now. You are 60%.
Oh my
Harini
God.
got 20%. Now she's jumped up. Gargi and Anisha's got. Shapali hasn't got any percentages. That's a bit strange. But you're winning at the moment.
Well, I haven't voted myself yet. That's why I'm going to be the game changer.
So out of 10 votes, you've got six votes. It's pretty good.
Come on, guys. I expect better than that. If you want to see more of Aparna Saini, if you want to see more on my channel, go to my channel as well and vote in that poll.
Why don't you? Have you done your poll? Have you got your own poll running?
No, I'll create one. Yeah. No, I'll create one as well. But I have to create a different one, Norman.
Where's your one? Let me know which one. So everybody go, while we're talking, where is it again?
No, but what am I creating?
Have you created a poll yet?
No.
Have you created it? Oh, well, then create it while we're talking. Do it now.
Do you want me to create it at the same time?
Yeah.
But then I'll put your name on it.
That's okay. You can do whatever you like. Do it while we're speaking. Where is your channel? I'm trying to find it. Here we are. I've got it. And you've got a community. You've got a community page. So you've got a community page. What?
What's the prize?
Well, for you mean, or who the winner, they'll get my full support.
Whoever the winner is, including everyone else.
You're already getting one of those, yeah. What do you reckon? They look good? Why don't we get one? Want me to create one for you? Should I get a hat with your cricket conversation with the Aparna Saini?
Well, I'm designing. My one would be designers. I'm mixing some shades of color and being more creative.
So why don't you?
No, I'll come up with something.
Can you put a poll up now?
Sorry?
Do a poll. I've just forwarded one of your polls on my page.
Oh, okay.
Do it while we're speaking. India should end the Pakistan obsession. Simply ignore Pakistan. No, we can't do that. Mr. Part England are the number one limited oversight. Hope you know that too. Well, they are, but
yes,
India
I do.
Check the latest rankings.
But that's changed, and that was just my prediction. I'm not saying that they are not. So, with all due respect to England and all the fans out there for England cricket team, there's other countries. India is one of the one that has proven over the years their true form, and I think there's other countries like Australia that they might come and show how well they can play even T20, and they might be the top 4. That's what my prediction is, or I would like to say.
So you're still 53%. You're 53%. You are. Anisha's gone up to 27%. Harini's 13 and Gargi 7. Shapali's got nothing. That's a bit sad.
I think you should have put the post with the photo. That's why I'm taking my time.
Well, there was the photo earlier I did of you guys, remember? There's one earlier of you. Let's have a look. Yeah, there you are. Gargi's. I've got. I think I needed to put one more person, but that's all right. You're doing well. It's a really good photo of yours too, by the way. I really like that photo, the one that you got. All right, Mr. Parna, Kohli and Rose averaged less than 20 in ICC knockout matches. Well, what do you think to that comment, Parna? It's your.
Well, I'm not going to go in. I'm not going to go in. With due respect, you're obviously an England cricket team fan or whatever it might be. I just said, and I think I would stand on my prediction that instead of England, I would like to see Australia in the T20 World Cup because they have the capability that we have not seen so far. And it'd be good to see Pakistan, India, Australia, and West Indies.
Yeah, the West Indies, I tell you what, they look bloody dangerous. They look really, really dangerous. They look really dangerous. The way they played against South Africa, they absolutely smashed them. This Lewis opened the batting, batted well. Chris Gale batted well. Andre Russell was hitting the ball. There's some real talent there, I tell you. India and England are in an easy poll. West Indies, Australia, Pakistan, and New Zealand are in a poll. So the reality is the West Indies are going to be up there. India will be up there. England will be up there, and I think New Zealand, Australia. You're saying apart, but I'm not saying it. I'm not that convinced about Australia.
I think this is obviously the top 5, but I'm saying if 4, because we were talking about 4 teams before.
Yeah.
I think it'd be quite interesting to see for a change Australia taking position for England in the top 4 for me.
That's interesting. I'm curious to see what happens. Yeah, there's something about this comment that I must answer. Some people have direct access to the presidents of various cricket boards and keep on playing for their national country, despite, like Shane Watson did for Australia for longer than he should have. There's been occasions Sri Lankan players where the president comes in and changes the team sheet is announced, the teams are actually picked, and the president will come in and change the order. It's just quite scary, actually. So, answer that one. Have a look at that. Can you read it? Read it out. Pardon?
I hear you now. Give me a second.
Punit Kumar wants Afghanistan in the final. That would be fantastic. Afghanistan have got a lot of raw talent. It'll be exciting to watch. Australia will play Afghanistan in November this year in Hobart. I believe it's Hobart. And it'll be amazing to see that happen.
Yep.
You right now?
Yeah. I couldn't hear you before.
Okay.
Just got disconnected.
You lost the... I was just saying to you, answer that question there.
Most of the Indian men struggling in the test. So good. Yeah, and he actually did. And, most of the Indian batsmen are struggling in test. That's a bit bold statement to say. Gill has always had the potential, I would say. And there's so much young talent out there. I've always said India is with a population of 1.3 billion people, with so many cricket, youngsters want to be grabbing for that opportunity. It makes us so lucky and in a position that literally we can have 4 top A grade teams ready for, which we saw a live example in Australia. So a lot of players that came out and showed how well they can perform under pressure. Absolutely. Which is a real test.
Absolutely. Well said.
They took bruises and, hard work, and to beat in Australia from even Adelaide to Gava, we witnessed something that I think nobody saw coming. So that's the beauty of cricket. That's the beauty of a country like India with so much talent.
Absolutely right. So, okay. Vijay Pillay, who's been on before, wants to see India versus Australia in the finals of the T20 World Cup. It would be exciting because Australia, can be good in that situation. But I don't think they got. You know what?
I think Pakistan.
Well, wouldn't that be exciting? Wouldn't it be amazing?
That would be amazing.
Well, that one,
that's like the next thing since COVID. That would be something, would grab a lot of attention.
I mean, I've got a person asking about the Steve Waugh situation. He was so good. I'm going to try. I'll see whether he wants to come on again in a different format, like a more casual conversation thing. Maybe it's something he likes you a lot, apparently, as you know. So I might say that we'll have to organise something. I'm just trying to look at.
Yeah, he's a great mentor, very down to earth person. We had a long conversation, and absolutely true to say, born to be extraordinary. A man with such
talent. You made that comment, didn't you?
Yeah. I think truly he was born to be an extraordinary, and what he's doing with the Steve Walk Foundation, and how well, his career, he's been in cricket, and then doing his book, his that's I mean, that's diversity. That's just something extraordinary in my eyes, and truly he's a legend. Very down
And
to
the,
earth.
and the way he had all those female staff working for him, they all loved working for him. They really, you could see the great camaraderie that was going on there. It was beautiful to
Very
see.
respectful
So
man with
calm,
no
so calm.
ego,
No.
pride, very down to earth.
Oh, it was amazing.
Lovely to have the opportunity.
Okay, apart from Zampa, who will be the next spinner for Australia in the World T20? Oh my God, we've got not many going on, to be honest with you. I mean, Adam Zampa's probably the best. Adam Zampa's a really good player, and it's a pity he
I
hasn't
think
got more.
Zampa is the only one what I can think from.
Oh yeah, I would agree.
He's one of the
Swepson,
young talents.
yeah, Swepson's not been playing there for a long time. The exposure Adam Zampa's had in the IPL, he knows what's going on. He's got the nous. He's a great. Let him be there for a while.
Yeah, he scared a lot of Indian batsmen, must admit.
There's
Even well, what team was he selected in our IPL?
yeah, he's in the IPL.
But what team was it? I can't remember.
I think he's with the Mumbai Indians. I think actually, let's Google that. What time? I've forgotten who he's playing for. Let me have a look.
I'm just getting the vibe that it could be
Ellie?
not Delhi. No, it wasn't Delhi. So
hang on.
Royal Challenge Bangalore. So he was in Bangalore.
RCB. He was with Kohli, Rahane, and not Rahane, Kohli, De Villiers, and Maxwell. And he did play some games. That's right too. He's a great. How old is he now?
I think he's 20.
He's 29. He's not as young as I thought he was. He's not old either, but he was originally from Shell Harbour City Council. I think that's originally in Sydney. So he represented New South Wales and then moved to Melbourne eventually. So he was a Sydneyite actually.
Hey, Nathan Lyon, I think he's good spinner.
Yeah, he seems to be pigeonholed out of the short form now. He doesn't get many matches playing the short form anymore. So let's have a look at the stories with him. Nathan Lyon. Nathan's obviously had a long test career, very long. He played his 100th test match. No, he's now 33 years of age. He'll be 34 this year. He's played. Let's have a look at. He's played exactly 100 tests. He's only played 29 ODIs and two T20s. Only two.
Yeah, he
hasn't played. His career. He's been pigeonholed out of it really, but he has played 100 test matches, and he's 399 wickets. So he's almost 400. So it's pretty impressive. He certainly has got. He's got a great record, considering he was a curator. Wasn't even playing high-level cricket. He was playing the ACT. Went over to South Australia to do curator work on the ground. Started bowling in the nets. Then found himself in the stateside and then played for Australia. Quite incredible. Well, that's a good point. Read that one.
Read the comment. Surya Kumar. I think Bhuvneshwar should be a choice for for T20.
Absolutely. But read that comment there.
Classy and glamorous player like Shane Warne should have inspired a whole generation of young cricketers to take up spin bowling, like Imran did for Pakistan, but now they have just Adam.
Well, he did. Steve Smith bowled, Adam Zampa. They all bowled balls very similar to Shane Warne. He did inspire a lot of young kids. So he has had an effect. There's no doubt about that at all. All right. Okay, let's have a look at Pujara, Rahane, and Kohli last couple of years. Well, Pujara has had many instances where he saved matches for India, where he's got them out of trouble. and so he has, in my opinion, got a long way to go before he can be seen as out of form. Rahane I think he got a century and captained in the last Test series in Australia, if I'm not mistaken. And Kohli has had ups and downs, but really Kohli is still by far and away the best captain. Pujara and Rahane are good deputies for him to refer matters to. They won't be changing them in a hurry. The next breed of Indian captains will come sometime later. Kohli will be there for a few years, especially in the Test format. But Rahane and Pujara are great players too. But those three have to perform against England in the 5 Test series, and that's where the difference is going to be. That we're going to have to start to show their mettle. It's time to show their ability. I think this is the series that we'll see Kohli score centuries again.
Exactly. We're still waiting for that.
Yeah, but he scored so many already. We've got to remember he scored so many already. He scored 70 Test and ODI centuries. He's killing it. He's well ahead of any average. The fact is he's done so well, people expect him to do it. Everyone's expecting him to continue doing that. That's the problem. And it's hard to keep up that level the whole time.
We haven't seen much cricket because of the pandemic, I mean,
there's
still a lot of cricket going on as compared to other sports out there, but not as much as Indian team has normally been playing before the pandemic. So it's not very fair to say that is he losing his performance? Is he losing that, making centuries sort of days? I don't think so. I think we still have to give him a fair chance.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he still has a long way to go, way to go at that level. So Gill was just saying he couldn't come. He needed a break. That's fair enough. India should come hard at England. This is the best time to beat England. I agree with that. Be nice to see England get smacked by India in this. I'd like to see that. Be interesting to see whether it's going to happen. Okay, what was your prediction again? I've said 3-2. Apana, what's your prediction?
I said 3-2 as well, but I would say close 3-2 or
what?
No, I wouldn't say clean sweep.
Oh no, that's a bit much.
No, I would say 3-2 or
4-1.
4-1.
It's possible.
Yeah, but definitely India should win. I mean, I would be very surprised and rather shocked if India lose. Then we have some serious discussions over what has gone wrong.
You mean India?
Yeah. I mean, if India loses against
England. The problem with England, they're not going to have Jofra Archer. He's out, almost certainly.
Do they still have that rotational policy going on?
Well, they're going to need to. They won't have much chance to use it because they won't have many people to rotate if they don't watch it. Chris Wokes is certainly there. Mark Wood is injury prone. Now, the big test will be whether Anderson and Broad play together, which they did in the World Test in their first 2 matches against New Zealand. That'll be a big test. And ultimately, the form or the availability of Ben Stokes. Their batters are in trouble. They're going to probably need to put in Dawood Malan and possibly even who else? Dawood Malan may come in place of Zach Crawley and Sibley may be replaced by Bairstow. That's what I would think. You're going to have to get used to dealing with the England side. They have Rory Burns currently with Dom Sibley. They have Zach Crawley at first drop, and they have the likes of Root and Ollie Pope and a guy called Lawrence. Then they have Ben Stokes if he's fit. The Sam Curran. You remember David? David Graveney, of course. He took care of Sam Curran. David's been great. It was a great interview with a guy called Gautam Bhattacharya, who's a great senior journalist from India. He joined with David Graveney. It was a great show. It was a very impressive show. Did you see that one?
Yeah, for sure.
That was amazing. They were both really incredible to listen to talk. They were just so much fun. Last time England lost to Australia in the Ashes, but they beat India 3-1. That's interesting. I think it'll be the other way around this time. I think they're going to lose to India, but
But
beat Australia.
we're not gonna match it for the last time. It's a long way. As I said, it's as a joke, but that's true. ICC decided England as the World Test Championship venue because they knew it's gonna be fair. They would not be making to the finals the way they were playing in test sort of a format, test format, you know. So this is a test format. This is a test series between India and England, and India being one of the finalists in World Test Championship. And if they lose after losing the actual tournament against New Zealand, I would say be very shocking. But I don't see that happening. I think they have that capability to easily win and show what actually their true form is in a test match and why were they finalists of World Test Championship. We didn't even get to show them that. Not to New Zealand.
I think they're going to beat England quite well. 3-2 is a conservative victory. If they get their act together, they could even win 4-1.
4-1, yeah.
And then England will bounce back and do very well against Australia. That's what I predict. But they've got to sort
All
out.
right. Norman, on that note, any last 3 questions?
For you,
we've been going for
ask questions
2 hours.
For Aparna, ask Aparna some last minute questions. She's been on for an hour.
I'm going to head off.
Okay. All right.
I think India should uplift all format players. Okay, India, West Indies, New Zealand, and I'm at top 4. Yeah, again, we're talking about India, West Indies, New Zealand, England, or I would say can see something of Australia. Let's see, not sure about Australia, but yeah, definitely. I think everyone's been saying those 4 teams. But India would be definitely there. Australia could be rather surprisingly, pick the game up and can probably in the finalists, and we might see India and Australia, but I would want to see India and Pakistan. One of my childhood memories and favorite.
That'll be exciting. That'll be exciting. In the poll, by the way, 47 votes have occurred. You are still in front with 47%. Second is Anisha on 17. Gargi Shapali's has gone to 13% each, and Harani's on 11. So you're after 47 votes, you're still well in the lead. Well done.
Oh, I think, come on, guys, what you doing? Press the button.
Well, you got to get your votes up because you're doing well though. You're well in front. You're on 46%. The closest to you was 19% after 48 votes. All right.
Well, jokes apart, Norman is not competing. That's why I'm ahead.
So your cricket conversation with Aparna Saini. Everybody here needs to go and subscribe. Put your poll together, please. Put a poll together.
Yes, I will, with photos. Good-looking photos of Norman. Send me your best shot.
And I'll forward that to mine, and we can get some votes happening. All right?
Yeah, for sure. All right. Thanks, Norman. Thank you for having me on your show, and to all your audience out there. Been great to be a part of Norman's show. You'll see more, and probably you'll see more on my channel as well, in collaboration with obviously Norman. So do subscribe my channel, Cricket Conversation with Aparna Saini, and we'll do something to get like a banter or more talk shows, more about cricket with more people and more guests, and interact with you guys with Eyes on Cricket with Norman Kortenak.
And I'm very proud to have Aparna on. You've been wonderful. You're a wonderful person, and it's a pleasure to have you on.
Thank you, Norman. Thank you.
All right, Aparna. Ciao, ciao.
Right.
She's a very special person, a very talented person. She can sing too. She's a model. She's studying law, IT, a cricket analyst. She's got everything going for her. Do support her channel. It's at Cricket Conversations with Aparna Saini. And I'll put that in the messaging after as well, guys. That was good to have her on the show, wasn't it? All right, we might think about how do we come live with you, Norman. You can come live with me by sending me a message to you can come live with me if you go to @Norm Koch, which is on my both my Instagram and my Twitter. Go to my Instagram, send me a message, send me your email address, tell me your real name, because I don't want a fake name, and you can come on that way, so we can get you on that way. All right. Mitchell Swepson has got apparently a fractured upper vertebra or upper disc in his spine based on bowling too much in the nets. So he's had stress fractures there. He's in a bad way. What do I think about Sharka? Behaviour was pretty ordinary. He's on thin ice after his banning for that period of a year anyway, for that other matter. And he should be, he and people like Dave Warner need to get their act together, not misunderstand how significant their role is and how important their role is to be upstanding citizens. Mitchell Swepson is a good spinner, but he hasn't cracked it yet, and he's in deep danger of not making it at all, to be honest with you. I don't think he's in the mix as much as he used to be. He was rated highly by Shane Warne, but I think even Shane Warne's realised he perhaps maybe over his best, and I think he was with Adam Holyoake and the Queensland Mecca, and he told me that he had a stress fracture or stress fracture of his upper spine area. I'm not sure, disc or what it was, or vertebra. It was quite serious, actually, very serious indeed, in fact, and there's a lot of concern about him coming into his future there, I tell you. You told me New Zealand win, okay, but I'm not going to accept your name. I was going to be there. So you guys also got Jonathan Cook and Lloyd Pope, and both are outstanding. Yeah, there's, I think Lloyd Pope, he looks pretty good. Jonathan Cook, I don't know much about him, to be real honest, but Lloyd Pope, he's pretty good. He's quite an unorthodox spinner, yes. If that was played, I would argue that New Zealand was still at one, probably, because India just were beaten by a better side. Let's be honest, India were beaten by a better side. Now, I'll preview the 100, not today, but Glenn Maxwell's apparently pulled out of Shane Warne's team out of that. David Milan's, a lot of the English players will be in there, of course, because it's on their home turf. I don't know exactly what the story is with them at all. It's okay. Shale Manju, I will do the 100 another day, but not today. I haven't actually researched all the players in that just yet, so I don't have all the information here. If you can tell me about it, then please tell me about it, and I'll listen to you. I'm just trying to look at the numbers here. Okay. Yeah, the 100, of course, is 20 overs of 5-ball overs. They bowl 10 from one end and then 10 from the other. It's a lot quicker. Bowlers can bowl more overs in a row. You can bowl more than one over in a row. It's quite a different dynamic. It should be a lot quicker. Yet to see it happen. Josh English has replaced Glenn Maxwell. Yeah, I've heard that. Yeah, Australia's not doing well. Which is the best Ashes per viewer's perspective so far? Well, you think the 2005 Ashes, where England won in dramatic circumstances, was well up there. When both of them played well back in the early 80s, that was fantastic. Some of the Australian series in England, where Lillian Thompson dominated in the 70s, were also great. Australia's also done well on Australian soil against England and played some great matches there. It's the best. India and Australia series were awarded the best series of the decade. That's a very good question. It certainly deserved a high ranking based on the way India had so many players out. I would agree with that. I would certainly say that was deserving of high praise. It certainly was a great series. No doubt about that. Let's look at that one. All right, guys. We're running. Unless we get more questions, which is the best WTC match? There's only been one. So one that's reached that level anyway. All right, guys. I think we're getting close to finishing here. I don't know whether we've got much more in this for the live today. So I think we may soon be needing to finish up. So 883. All right. Who do you think is the most underrated player? Well, Glenn Maxwell, probably. Glenn Maxwell should be playing a lot more. Jason Sanger, the New South Wales young player who's shown under 19 captain. He should be expected to be higher than Pukowski. Certainly is as well. Pukowski played very well, and he deserves a bit of a chance. Will this being on series decide Pujara's career? You wouldn't think so. You wouldn't think so. How many test matches has Pujara played? Let's have a look. Let's see how many test matches Pujara's played. Let's have a look at Pujara's situation for a moment. Let's just going to Google Pujara. Had a great time as a first earlier. Thank you, Charles. Great. I hope you come back. Charles, please do that and go about getting more get more of your family and friends involved. Be great. Teshma Pujara, let's have a look. He is 33 now. He's played 86 test matches, so these 5 test matches will bring up to 91. I think he'd want to go to 100 at least before he retires, so we're looking at a few more games from yet. Of course, that's a very good point. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. I really, really do appreciate that comment. So, comment worth noting, that one. So, how about Usman Khawaja? Is he underrated? He doesn't seem to get a long run here. I've got a lot of frustrations with him. He was one of the best players Australia had, and I took a bit of a dislike to some of the captaincy and coaching decisions, and probably didn't exactly fall into their guidelines, and was given a bit of a show the door when he was still playing well. Then they compensated by giving him state duties at a high level as a captaincy. It's a bit of a I think he's national. I'm sorry, there's a bit of prejudice there. There's no doubt there's a bit of prejudice there. Suresh Kumar is an up-and-coming player. Certainly he's an up-and-coming player. He certainly isn't there at the moment. He's an up-and-coming player. So I don't know whether he's quite there at the moment. But Kohli clearly is. He certainly is. India team is perfectly rated. Yeah, I think they're doing as well as they're expected. They didn't win that World Test Championship, but they got there, and that's still a magnificent effort. Let's be honest. We'll watch the next live because I want to be there for that start of it. It'll be on tomorrow. I'm not sure the time. It could be around 6 p.m. Indian IST Indian time. It'll be around that time. But look out! I'll put up that in the next morning. Okay. Should bat at number 3 for Australia. I think he should. I think he should really be up. They could even open, to be honest with you. I think there's even good reason why he should open the innings. He was a great player and still is a great player, still playing well. His team Queensland won the Sheffield Shield, for God's sake, which is like the county championship, which is the rung below playing for Australia. So you can't knock that. You certainly can't knock that. Okay. All right, guys. Do you have in your team of 2011 Kohli, Maxwell, Russell, or me? Well, I don't know about you. I can't comment on you. I'd certainly have all 3 of those. Russell certainly on his day can win matches. He just did that for the West Indies versus South Africa against bowlers like Rabada and Nagidi. So and Shamsi, they've got a pretty good bowling attack. South Africans and West Indies showed them up pretty much. And amazing. They played very well in that match. If you saw it. Maxwell on his day can be anything, but it's on his day. Kohli's experience and class wins out every time. Absolutely. Any more questions, guys? And Pujara, again, he's played 86 test matches for 6,267 runs at a batting average of 46. You can't knock that. 86 test matches, 6,267. He's right up there. He's batted very well for a long time. A long, long time. All right. Question. Why India don't produce seam all-rounders like other countries? What's your thoughts on this? They do, though. They do have seam all-rounders. I mean, they probably need to improve their batting. Yeah, you're right. But, I mean, Ashwin and Jadeja are all-rounders, let's be honest. Rishabh Pant's an all-rounder because he's keeping ability. He's got all-rounders there. Shardul Thakur is probably the closest. and certainly is right up there and is close to being the side. Yeah, I think you're right. Mayank Agarwal will replace Gill or Pujara if they don't perform well. Yeah, or KL Rahul will come in either, another person. Or Vihari down the order. There's three Indian batsmen pushing for selection, which is good. It's healthy. Healthy for Indian cricket is to have those players there pushing for selection. All right, guys, let's have a look. All right, we've gone long enough, I think. So what do you think is the main difference in cricketing culture in India and Australia? Well, India's got depth. They've got a lot more competitiveness going on, more competitive than Australia at the moment. There's no longer a fearlessness in India, fearfulness. They're fearless now, which is a big improvement. Before, Australia was the one that never feared anyone. Now it's India's matching that. That's where the culture's changed. Shardul leaks too many runs. Well, he does, but he also takes a lot of wickets. So it's kind of compensated. Yeah, Shane Watson was never one I call him around, but he was probably the closest. Cameron Green, now, he's around at the moment, and he is already getting a central contract with Australia and is looked at as the next future proper all-rounder. And he could well become maybe a captain, I'm not sure, but he certainly is in the side now as an all-rounder. He's looked at as the true successor as an all-rounder for Australia. So you will see him. He's produced, he's playing, he bats really, really well. He bowls well too. He hasn't taken wickets yet, but he will. He will make that difference back then. Okay, Ashwani talks. Australia, New Zealand's maximum player. They can't cricket, but one or two Indians play. Don't play. That's why you can see losing. Well, that's a fair point. They could probably do with a few more players in that category. You're right. Vihari went there early, and Pujara has. Who do you think is the best fast bowling all-rounder Australia's produced so far? Fast bowling all-rounder. Well, Keith Miller, I would say way back then, was certainly one. Jimmy Johnson could certainly bat. Brett Lee could certainly bat too. They were both up there. Not much money for Indian players in county. It shouldn't be about money. It should be about experience and improving their play, because they're making enough money from the IPL alone, let alone anything else. If you just played the IPL, you could see yourself being the most wealthiest man in the country. Yeah, not Shane Watson batting. Also, IPL happens during county season. Well, they need to look at that, don't they? They need to look at that. They need to work out some way of getting around that. You would play countries in England for penalty. I'm sure most people would. It's the love of the game. It's why we do things like that. It's why we do things like that. Always. Okay. I think I've had enough, guys. It's 2 hours and 17 minutes. I'm pretty tired now. We might just try to continue a bit further. We'll just see how we go. All right, guys. Last two questions. Who is the next Test captain for Australia? It's going to be Sim Payne for the foreseeable future. Aaron Finch is around. I don't think it'll be Steve Smith. Won't be Pat Cummings. Won't be Labuschagne. It'll be someone new, and hopefully it's Jason Sanger. And I've talked about this before. Have a great day, Norman. It was a pleasure. Thank you. Do you think Pakistan team? You think? I don't think it's good. I think it's disgraceful that they're not allowed to play the formats. That's not right. It shouldn't be the case. Penny better than Cavalier? No. How could he be? No, I don't think so. Let's accept Test cricket has limited audience in India. It's got a huge audience in India. What do you mean? It's got a huge audience. A bloody huge audience. I might just share this program. Yeah. I try to answer all the questions. It's what I try to do. It's not about disappointing. It's about just what I like to do. Okay. I was going to check something there. What was I going to check? I was going to try and share that. the partners are still doing well in the 83 votes now. It's pretty good. I'm just going to try and share that, the one that we're doing now, to everyone. I'm just going to try and share that. You heard me speaking just now. Okay. The one that we're doing now, to everyone. So I've got Twitter. Twitter. I didn't see it before. I thought I didn't see it at all. The do you think Raoul Dravid should be the next Indian coach? Annie Flower will be right choice. No, Raoul Dravid will be the next choice post Ravi Shastri. Absolutely, absolutely. That's definitely in the cards. Oh, there we go. That's when he's just a profile. Why is Winnie done that? She doesn't. Just having to. I'm updating a few things, guys. Give me a second. Just having to make sure that the partner's thing gets up. Maybe a sec, guys. Just give me a second. There we go. All right. So how are we going here? Just having to. I don't know why that's happened. Okay, so what question have I got here? Australian women's cricket team are the best in the world right now. Of course they are. They're miles in front. Who's technically better batsman, Greg Chappell or Ricky Ponting? Greg Chappell. Definitely Greg Chappell. Cannot contest proof. There's a. There we go. That's done. All right. So we got I don't know what that means. So do you think it's wrong for Pat Cummins to say they were off the ball when they lost in the series? But the true fact is, India played better. Yes, I think that is it's correct. India outplayed. India outplayed Australia, and they were so-called second string side. I mean, that's the crucial thing here. That's probably what they're concerned about. Okay. I'm not going to talk about things which I can't understand. I don't know what you're doing, but you might be bluffing me, guys. It's always dangerous. Let's have a look here. Okay. All right, guys. I think that's enough now. So again, view, like, and share the posts. Make sure if you're not asking any more questions. Do you think India's okay? We are doing vlogs. I kind of do vlogs. Do you think India don't utilise travel services much in his coaching? Well, he's often been consulted, and the coach, they understand things. He has been consulted very, very often. That's partly true. Thank you. Well, then if you could help me share that, it'd be great. If you share it around, you'll get that done for me. Just telling you. We certainly have got some less viewers now. All right, guys. All right, guys. It's now getting a bit late, isn't it? It's now, 1 o'clock in the morning, your time. So let's Keshuv's coming on, she's not. Thank you very much. I appreciate that comment. Very much appreciate that comment. All right, guys. We might say, okay, view, like, and share the posts at Norm Koch and at both the Twitter and the Instagram handle. Please make sure you comment there and follow me there, and I'll also communicate with you there. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed already, and also go through and actually go about hitting the notification button. And on top of that, share it between your WhatsApp posts, share it through your friendships, whether it's email, Facebook Messenger, whatever it might be. And then Ashwani Talks, I'll take it as something. Have you messaged me on Instagram? I'm from Australia. I'm from Australia, yes. Should be a shock. I'm from Coogee Beach, Sydney, Australia. And if you want to be on the show, you've got to send me your email and details through at Norm Koch on my Instagram. And we'll be able to do it that way. Ashwani Talks. But no, don't video me. Just send me the message and I'll answer it there, okay? Because I don't want to face video messages. Not much to do there. It's not much fun. All right, guys. Okay, Ashwani Talks. I think you may have. Are you a friend of Keshuv's? I'm not sure if that's who you are. Also, India lost the ICC finals and he didn't face so much criticism with Kohli. I would agree with it. I would agree that they're coming too hard on Kohli. Way too hard on Kohli. Way too hard. Way too hard on Kohli. All right, guys. Again, view, like, and share the post. Subscribe, notification, and go about sharing to your WhatsApp groups and your messages and the like. And we'll talk soon again. Yes, I'm Keshuv's friend. Where's Keshuv now? Is he around? Ashwani? Where's Keshuv? Is he here? He's not on, so I don't know where he is. He's meant to be here, so I see no evidence of him here, so I can't help you if he's not here. All right. Have a good night, guys. All the best to you. Speak to you soon again.